Welcome to the Charlie Vettiner Open, presented by Prodigy. Hosted by Heartland Discs. We're checking in on the back nine where it's a tight battle at the top between the Monn brothers and Braeden sides. Here we are on hole 10, first hole of the back nine. Jake Monn has been putting on a clinic for the front nine of this event. He's gotten a few good birdies so far. Let's see what he can do on this short hole. Just a little too low on that tee shot. Kind of hoping the headwind would lift it a little bit. There is quite a bit of a hill in front of this tee pad, so you have to kind of throw up. Timu making the adjustment. Getting up there pretty good. He may have a circle one look. Ian lining up the same forehand. Gonna put a little flex on this, it looks like. I think that hyzered into the OB that is behind that stone sign. James going with the forehand. A little wide and a little high. That looks to be on the green. Now we're coming up to Jake's second shot here. A little bit errant shot off the tee. This is a hole that he definitely wants a birdie on. Lining up a little chip forehand. About 180 feet. Wants to put this real close. There's no chance of getting a bogey. Nice tee shot from James here. He's got a pretty stiff headwind on this putt though. See if he can convert for the two. Headwind just lifted it. Ian did find the out of bounds, so he is putting for par here. About a 15-footer. Lots of wind on this green, making this putt a little more challenging than it really should be. Jake with the good save for par there. One of the easier holes on the course. These guys are really looking at getting a birdie here. Hole 11 is a tricky shot. It's right around 400 feet, but there's a tight gap between the trees that you've got to hit way late in the fairway. Timu going with a little bit of a flip-up shot, and he's matched the distance, but just missed the tunnel that you have to hit. Pretty tight gap to be 350 feet down the fairway. Jake going a little wider, a little more overstable. That's not going to be bad. He'll have a look from there, potentially a long putt for two. See if James can fight the headwind. Little bit of a hyzer out of the hand. Maybe more stable of a disc to fight that headwind. Just causing it to push left a little too far. Ian wants to park this to make up for that last hole. Little flex shot with something pretty overstable had to be. Almost ringing it up. What a shot from Ian there. And James kind of trying to get to this green. A little tricky angle. He's going to have a longer putt than he would want. Staring at that OB. Timu lining up a 50-footer for birdie. Jake doing the pro move and testing the wind out. on the green and not where he's at in this little valley. He's lining up about another 45-footer. Staring straight at OB. A little sketchy of a putt there from Jake. Now James has a pretty strong headwind and about 25 feet. That's a solid hit right there. That's such a scary putt because if it airballs, you're going out of bounds. Timu trying to save par. Just a little bit to the right. Jake was out of bounds. So now he's coming back for bogey. A good hit by Jake. What a park job by Ian here. He's got about a 10-footer. Just a tap in birdie. Great drive. Timu working for his 4. Hole 12 is a pretty tight tunnel shot. Ian lining up a flex forehand. Almost ringing that one up. He's on the green for an easy 2, it looks like. Under 300 feet, so this hole is not that challenging for these guys. It's just hitting the gap and getting to the green. There is OB in the creek down there, so if you do catch an early tree, you can go out of bounds on this hole. Jake going with a backhand putter shot. Getting it to flip up. Almost an ace run there. We've got a star frame in the making here on hole 12. A few tap in birdies on this hole. And it's right before we go on to one of the tougher holes on the course. A little tricky anhyzer or forehand shot. I'm actually standing in a pretty bad spot safety-wise, but this is a tough angle to get this shot. Forehand by Ian. The basket is just behind that little group of pine trees there. To the right. He's going to have a look at a possible birdie. This green can get a little technical, though. James lining up a forehand. Low. Just skims over the top of the hill. We'll have to see where that wound up. Now Timu lining up a little high of a forehand. He hit a little early. That's going to be a little bit of a scramble shot there. Now Jake's lining up the craziest shot that I've seen at the CBO. He's throwing a backhand roller with a vortex here. And he just about sticks this green. He's got an open look coming back at the basket. Looks like James did find a little bit of rough. He's lining up a tricky forehand here. It's just on the outside of that well-guarded green. That'll be a little bit tricky of a putt to save par there. Timu lining up. Kind of an awkward shot here. Trying to get to the mouth of that guarded green. Little Anheuser putt approach. Just a little too much angle. And that kind of cut rolls back into this rough here. And Timu throwing a little pitch forehand. Putting it pretty close. He should save bogey from there. This would be a clutch putt from James to save par on this hole. Doing a lot of stretching on that putt. And that's a great bid. Ian's forehand went just a little bit long, but he does kind of have an awkward putt or kind of approach at the green here. Lining up a big Anheuser. Kind of a spin putt at it. Jake's roller must have filtered kind of down below the basket. But what a shot to wind up here off the tee with a backhand roller. Even better birdie to connect from 25 feet there. Great two on that hole. And Timu has probably about a 20-footer cleanup for his bogey. Good solid hit there. Just a routine hyzer shot for these guys on this hole. But there is a gap that you've got to hit. If you don't hit it, it's a rough day. That's a little tight from Jake, but I think that's going to be pretty close to being parked. Very short hole, but it does bend to the left really quick. So you have to get that right to left movement super fast. Ian giving this a little too much juice. Kind of pulls it a little wide. James puring the gap. Going a little straight. He may have a long look at two there. Timu just quick throwing me there, and he should be in the conversation for birdie. Ian looking at a tricky scramble shot here. Just trying to get a three and get away from this hole. Little forehand flex shot. That's going to work out pretty good, I think. Ian still left with a little bit of a tester putt here for his three. Drops it in there. It's a little sketchy of a putt. If you airball that, you're going way downhill, and you probably have a 40-footer coming back. James for his two, about a 15-footer. Great drive from him there. Timu with a great drive. Also looking at that 15-foot tap in for birdie. Jake must have been right on the pole. Man, drop in birdie. How close was that to an ace? Now coming up to hole 15. This is kind of a tricky green to get to. Pretty well guarded. Jake's going to be going with a little flex forehand here. Trying to get on the left side of this green and fade back to the right. It's in that little group of trees down there. The last few holes at Charlie Vettiner are pretty tough to film without a catch cam. James lining up that flex forehand. Going just a little tight. And getting a weird roll. That may be in a bad spot. Timu. A little bit more direct route from him. That may have punched through. Down there close to the green. Ian following suit. Getting a little bit of left to right action on it. Just a little too tight on that shot. James' shot did roll down into this rough. That's kind of a tough break. He had a decent drive. Now he's lining up a forehand roller. I'll try to cut roll up this hill, I think. Looking for a little left to right action on this cut roller. It takes a big U-turn. That's going to be kind of a tough third shot for James there. Jake really wanting this to drop for birdie. Gives it a little half bid without going too far. James in a tough spot here. He's going to be trying to give this a lot of spin and get up this hill. Up there on the green, that's about all you can do from there. Now, Ian has a decision to make. You want to run this for the 2, or you want to lay up and play it safe? He gave it a little bit of a half bid there. I like the jump putt strategy. You don't have to use a whole lot of spin and kind of push the disc. Timu's drive found the rough, but it was the best of the bunch. Probably 15-footer here, but pretty obstructed. If he could get a clean putt out, he can get a 2. Just a little left. That's kind of a tough straddle putt there, though. A lot of cabbage to contend with. Jake's bid did go a little long, so he's got a little tester coming back for 3. Woo! Sneaks it in there. Did a little dance on the back of the basket. Couple of cleanups, and then we're going to one of the hardest holes on the course. Hole 16, these guys are just trying to play a little 180-foot placement shot. Jake's just a little shy from the ideal landing zone. I'm being a wilderness adventure with this camera work here. It's the best place I can be to catch this landing zone shot and see who threw it. Timu throwing a flex forehand. And that's probably going to be pretty good. I think it lands on top of the hill up there to the right. That is the go for it route. Ian lining up the same, kind of a lower flex forehand shot. He catches up into some cabbage, and he's actually landed in that placement zone that Jake was trying to get to with his backhand. James doing the same thing. Throwing a little flex at my head. Almost gets me. And he's actually in that perfect landing zone there. Sketchy camera work. Very tough hole to film. Have about 280 feet now, all uphill to the pin. Jake's going to be lining up kind of a flip-up hyzer shot. Try to push it straight through this gap. Get about a 50-foot flare skip to the left.
Sounded like I hit that little... Yeah.
James, just a touch right of where you would want to be to open up that hyzer angle. He's going to have a little more of a straight to hyzer shot instead of all hyzer. So he's throwing something flat that's a little overstable and trying to let the disc do the work on this shot. Kind of a technical lie here. Just a little too straight on that shot. Ian is looking at a cleaner version of James's lie. So he's going to be throwing almost the same shot, maybe a little more flip up. Was able to put a little more hyzer on it. It just needed 20 feet more of height to get that right to left movement. James with a low ceiling putt here. Just a little bit to the right. That's a tough putt. Pretty low ceiling. Ian's going to be looking at the same thing. More of a spin putt here to get under this ceiling. About 28 feet. We missed Timu's second shot, so this is his putt for birdie on the hole. He kind of quick threw me on his second shot. He was out in the field. Now he's got about a 30-footer here for birdie. Good solid hit. And Jake looking at a 15-footer for birdie. Kind of staring at a downhill nightmare. Ian just trying to make the comebacker for par. Right around that 10, 20-foot range. That's unfortunate. Now he's got about 15-footer for bogey. Back up this slope. Hole 16 is one of the toughest holes on the course. To be so short, it takes two crazy good shots to get in there for an easy birdie. Now we're on to 17. Pretty tricky tunnel shot here. It's almost 400 feet, kind of dead straight. Jake needs to put this close to keep pace with Braeden. He's leading him by one, but Braeden did birdie this hole. Timu throwing, I think, a putter. Fairly straight. James pulling it a little wide, getting caught up just a touch on that right-hand side there. Ian trying to figure out what the wind's doing. He's going to be throwing a fairway driver, it looks. Little tight. We'll have to see where that wound up. James going to be throwing a little flex forehand here. Trying to put this close so he can get his par. Ian's shot did push through. He's got about a 45, 50-footer here. Just a touch low. And Jake, to keep pace with Braeden, has to make this putt. About a 30-footer. Timu's shot must have rolled a little bit. That's just a tough break. James cleaning up his par. High right. I mean, that's a good putt on any other basket. And tap in par from Ian. And now we're on to hole 18. One of the tougher holes on the course. And we're doing a chase card check-in with Braeden here. He's down by one. And this is his tee shot for 18. secures the gap, pushes up and to the left, and that gives you a great opportunity for a second shot. He actually gets an eagle on this hole, so now Jake has to match to get the outright win.
Go. Go.
Jake's in a great spot up there. Timu high and powerful, so that's ideal landing zone. Ian pushing it a little wide, but has the power to make it up this hill. This is about a 500-foot worth of power kind of tee shot here. James just a little tight. He's going to be looking at a weird angle. So he's going to be throwing a huge spike forehand up and around this Mando tree. We'll just have to see where that wound up. Timu lining up. Pretty stock forehand here. Just to get around that towards the basket. That may be a little tight. Ian, full commitment on that shot. Slips. Almost a rough situation there. Jake needs to make this corner to have a chance at a 3. Don't know if he was score watching to see if Braeden got an eagle on this or not. Kind of an uncharacteristic error there for Jake. Pulling that shot just a little too tight. And now he has to put this shot under the basket. High turnover with a putter. I want to say that's pretty close. James lining up a forehand. Trying to get on the green for birdie here. Good touch shot there by James. Timu trying to get out of the rough. His forehand did go just a little tight. Ian's slippery forehand landed a little long of the basket. He kind of throws a little bit of a Anheuser forehand. Just not enough loft on it to get it on the green. Pretty long putt coming back still. Timu cleaning up his birdie. James in for kind of a casual birdie on this hole. Wasn't an ideal tee shot, but he made it work. And Jake is in for birdie. He had to be really close on that approach to just dunking it. And now we are going into a playoff for first place at the Charlie Vettiner Open.
Is that what you do? Just square off? Yeah. Do you want to?
No.
Can we like do a boxing match for this playoff?
No. That's not fair at all.
The first time in like 20 years we went back-to-back playoffs at the playoff last year.
Oh, really?
You guys ready?
Yeah.
We're done with her.
We'll do a little.
All right, we got a playoff between Braeden and Jake. Braeden, you'll be heads. Not yet. Braeden, you'll be head. Jake will be tails. We'll alternate tee shots. So Jake goes hole 1, Braeden will go hole 2, alternating until we have a winner, okay? All right, here we go. Braeden heads, Jake tails. It is tails. It's your call.
Look, Braeden.
Want to go first or second?
I want to go first.
Okay.
Jake opting to throw first. During a playoff, this is really key strategy because if Jake can put this close, it'll put a lot of pressure on Braeden. That was just a little short. Let's see what Braeden comes up with. A little lower and more powerful route. Looks like Braden's going to be just a little closer. Jake leaving a lot to be desired on that tee shot. He has about a 45-footer here. Jake played some amazing golf during this round. Made a ton of Circle 1 putts, pushing that 30-foot mark, and even quite a few Circle 2 putts. Really a great showing from Jake at the CBO.
2025 Charlie Vettiner Open, powered by Prodigy. Braeden sides.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Sweet. Yeah. I want to give a huge shout out to Castplast and all the rest of my sponsors. Huge shout out to Jake. That was some of the best disc golf that I've ever played, and I mean, it still wasn't like easy to win. So awesome battle with you, Jake. And thanks for putting the tournament on. It was a blast. Can't wait to come back next year.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Great.
Sweet. Thanks so much.
I'll send you a problem. There'll be your name on it.
Sweet. Cool. Thanks. Good plan, Jake. See you soon. Thank you.
So there you have it, guys. That's the 2025 Charlie Vettiner Open, powered by Prodigy. Braeden sides with an insane eagle on 18 to force the playoff, and then taking it home on hole 1. Local boy Dutch Napier from Owensboro getting in that top 4 spot. Thanks for watching, guys. If you would like to see more content like this, it's the first time I've ever tried to do any kind of tournament coverage. Let me know in the comments, and be sure to check out my normal content here on YouTube. Have a great day. Stay in the fairway, guys.